Good morning, NC4XL, North Carolina for extreme lovers. If you happen to be watching this video because you did a search for POTA, Parks on the Air, because you're new, welcome to our roller coaster of fun. First thing I'd like for you to realize is I'm going to try to answer some questions that are reoccurring continually on Facebook. And sometimes some people get a little rough around the edges and make you feel unwanted. First of all, you're wanted and appreciated. And you're new. And you have questions coming out of your backside and really don't know where to get all the answers. I'm going to suggest that you read the frequently asked questions section. It answers many of the questions you may have, but not all of them. A lot of the questions you have may come from experience. So I'm going to try to hit a few things on the head just to give you an insight. We're not contest, so let's get that brain element readjusted here. We don't do contesting. We do achievements, or they call them awards. They're in your awards section, and you receive them for making a number of contacts in different levels, different states, for worked off states, different modes. You can work that same park 20 times and get a repeat offender as a hunter. You can work that park with the same activator, the person putting the park out, and receive another accomplishment, repeat. A hunter with the same activator. You can receive what we call operator to operator. That's where you keep working this hunter in all the different parks that you see he or she going to. Question number one pops up. Why should I work them again if I already worked them? Going back to the award sections, that your achievements, not a contest. There's no number one. You're not going to get a fancy prize. It's self-inflicted gratification. But you have an opportunity to work many people in the same park. As a hunter, you really have no idea what the activators are doing. But when they're out there spending their time away from the restrooms, away from fast foods, away from telephones, away from electricity, bug sprays and things like that, you have no earthly idea because you're sitting at home working them. Many times us activators are running anywhere from 5 watts, 10, 20, 50, 100 watts. Some of them run higher. That's their choosing. But you keep working every activator you hear, checking out their systems for emergency communication setup, propagation, things of that nature. There is no best antenna, so you don't need to keep asking which is the best antenna. You got 10,000 activators going to give you 10,000 different answers. There is no best. My choosing is the NFED, 10 through 40. That's my choosing. I love it. But I use the ham sticks too and make great activations. If you get a chance, go look up the profile for November 2, Bravo Tango Delta. Ham sticks, that's what he uses. Brian done very well with Ham sticks. Is that the best antenna? No. There is no best antenna. So back your brain up a little bit and realize that, one, whatever you have, you use, will work for you in some form. Some other antennas work better. That's normal. But you don't need to go out and get all excited about buying the best, because my best is not yours or the next ham. Antennas, Eagle 1, Chameleon, Buddy Stick, Super Antenna. I think it's the Atlas 150. I'm not sure on that because I don't use it. Ham sticks by MFJ, by another manufacturer. Dipoles, homemade dipoles, and feds that are homemade, that are bought. We have many hams on the Parks on the Air that actually build them. Walt, if you want to ask questions about antennas, NE4TN, Walt, go check him out. K8MRD, another YouTuber, will give you fine information on antennas. Kilo Bravo 9, Victor Foxtrot Bravo, Victor Bravo Romeo, Michael. Another great opportunity to listen to their ideas on antennas. I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. There's no best antenna. For many of us, as we start out in Parks on the Air, we don't want to spend a lot of money, then make some. Improvise. Get a slinky. You can use a slinky. Cut you a dipole for one band if that's what you want to work on. It's your antenna. Experiment, play, have fun. If it don't work, start over. This is not a perfect hobby. This is just a hobby. What's the best radio? Well, here we go again. I don't endorse any manufacturer, but I share what I use. I use the 891 at Yaesu. It meets all my needs that I have outside in the park. I use the FT991 Alpha at the house. It meets all my needs. It has a tuner built in. I don't like tuners, but it works for me at the house because I'm running an NFED 10 through 40. It's only up 20 feet. I have an ICOM 718 that rides in the car with me too, as a backup radio. Excellent beginning radio for a new person getting into ham radio, or you can find an affordable one. It works well. There's no best radio. We all have different choices that we like, different manufacturers that we like. We also have a thing called the pocketbook. Most of us don't like it. So if you're loaned a radio, work with it. If you want a G90 or a KX2 or KX3 or a Lab 550, I think they call it, and that's what you want, the ICOM 705, then you go buy it. You can get the reviews for any of those radios that I just mentioned. There is no best radio. There's radios that may perform better, but don't meet the criteria of cost effective. Again, the accomplishments that you get in Parks on the Air are self-inflicted. I call it an addiction. I'll even use another group of letters. It's a FDED. That means field day every day. And that goes back to the contesting type thing that I talk about. We don't use 3-4 times running your call to an activator when there's 250 people all at once. So everybody shoves their amplifiers on and think they're going to be number one. Number one doesn't mean a thing when you're having camaraderie It goes back to the contesting days where you bully everybody out of the way. The park isn't going anywhere. The activator may. They may be on a roll. But code of conduct and respect and courtesy still does exist, not as much. It's up to you and me to create that camaraderie again. If you're new and you're wondering what I'm talking about, if you listen to what we call pile-ups, every one of us have a different way of operating a pile-up. That's when everybody keys up at the same time on the same frequency, trying to reach the same party to get first. It's a cluster mess. And if you ever get on the other side of this video and you're out in a park and you're listening to that pile-up, it's so overwhelming. If you're listening to my videos, I do have a couple videos, short videos, that show how that's me, nobody else. I'm not promoting it for anybody else, so don't get excited. I'm not telling you to do this, but I use paper log. When I do my activations, I don't record my whole activations because I'm going to go out for 3 to 4 hours, and my personal goal is to have 3 or 4 hours of pile-ups. And that sounds being conceited, but I'm not. I do it all the time. Pile-ups can be managed by the style of the activator. The other part of that style comes from the hunters that are continually cutthroating each other and thinking that all power is going to win. Not necessarily true. Just learn how that activator works. If they're doing one call at a time, they're going to do one call at a time. Don't get aggravated. Post something on Facebook. That takes too long. Spin the dial or don't do it. But don't yourself create animosity with somebody you haven't even met. All you're trying to do is make a contact with them. Get to know the activators. You're going to become one. Oh my gosh, then you'll see what I'm saying. There's no best antenna. It's what you can afford. There's no best radio. It's what you can afford. How do I do a park logging? Back to me. Paper logging, I work you in 2 parks. You're in a twofer, or 3 parks. That's a threefer. That's what it's referred to. I'm going to log you one time for whatever you're in for the first park. I'm going to make another entry for the second park number you give me. I'm going to make another entry for the third park number you give me. I don't use devices, so on paper it's easy for me. If you're out in the field and you're using a device and you're wondering how do you work somebody in 2 parks, log them, contact for the first park. Log them again, change the park number, and enter it in your device. Now you have 2 contacts for the same party on the same frequency on different parks. Okay? I use N3FJP. I am not promoting it, but it's an outstanding, well worth the money logging program that I use at home, and some use it in the field, and that's fine. But it creates my ADIF, the file that we need to send to Parks on the Air after our activations are done. A little secret for those of you who have been tinkering around with Parks on the Air and thinking about activating, here's a secret. Write this down in the back of your head. You do not have to spot yourself and fight that overwhelming pileup. But if you will go to a park entity that is in Parks on the Air, not your local park and you think it should be at, they're not set up that way. They are designed by Parks on the Air with an entity number, and other parks outside of that, like where I'm sitting doing this video, does not meet the criteria. So this is just my local park. But go to that park with that park entity, K1234, Work somebody in a park with a park-to-park contact. You can make 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 park-to-parks real easy. And never spot yourself once. Do not spot yourself, because when you spot yourself, everybody's going to come and chase you. That's what you want. Second thing, if you're going to do an activation and you're afraid of the pileups, one of the quickest and easiest ways to thin your pileup out, even when you spot yourself, that is to turn your power down. You're not going QRO. You're now going to become a QRP, a suggestion only of 5 watts. 5 watts can get you around the world. It's been proven over and over and over. That's one way that you can slow down some of the pileup. Let me explain that in a minute. When I see on the spotting page NC4XLs at this park, so I spin the dial to that frequency. Once I spin the dial to that frequency, I'm listening. Can I hear that station? Nope. Next. If I had gone from 5 watts to 100 watts, the possibility of me being heard will probably increase quite a bit. And then I'll have more people pounding on me and wanting to make contact, which is awesome. So we'll go back to my beginning. There is no best antenna. It's what you can afford, it's what other people have told you about, it's what they like. There's several sources to go look and review, but the best way is to experiment with yourself. You can take an 11-meter whip and make it work with the tuner on some of the high bands. Okay? You can do a lot of experimenting. You don't have to be perfect. There's no perfect in our hobby. If you got to be perfect at everything, it ain't going to happen. Be satisfied. Be grateful you got a sunrise. Be grateful you got a transmitter. Be grateful you got an antenna. Be appreciative of those things that are really important. I'm grateful for every contact and the new acquaintances that I have run into in almost a year and a half, that I'll meet on the highway, that'll contact me and want to go out and work with me, that help me reach my goals, just like you're going to have goals. When you reach your 50th activation or your 200th activation, when you reach your first time getting 100 contacts at a park, or 200, or 300, or 400. I've even done that a couple times. That's awesome. But those are goals, and those are the achievements. It's not the contest. I'm self-gratified by making those accomplishments. If you're new to Parks on the Air, please, I ask you, don't be thin-skinned when you ask a question in your mind that should be simple and everybody should answer it nicely. They're not going to. Some people are rough around the edges. Forgive them and go about your business. I'm on Messenger. Many times if you have a question, I'll call you. I'll pay the dime. I don't care. I don't have a lot of knowledge, but what I have, I'll be glad to share with you. I don't want you on my YouTube channel to like it and subscribe and make me feel good. No, if that's your choice, awesome. And if not, we chuckle together and laugh together, because remember, this is a hobby. Amateur radio is a hobby. Some people do DMR, some people do satellites, some people do FT4, FT8, PSK31, and There's so much that nobody can do all of it and be proficient at most of it. So if you're joining us, welcome aboard. Give yourself an opportune time to do a lot of scanning and listening. Write down the calls of the stations you hear strong all the time or you hear them repeatedly all the time, and go check their profile and see what they have accomplished in the awards. I'm proud of my awards, and I'm proud of your awards. For each one that you get and the day that it comes, and you're learning how to work that awards page and monitor it daily just to see if you made another achievement, because that's what it's about for me. God bless you. Thank you for joining and looking and thinking about Parks on the Air. It's an awesome program, costs you nothing except your time, and you can have so much fun. It sure beats some of those crazy other nets that are so stale and stagnant. That we're not. We're a people group. We have fun with other people in a nice way, in a positive way. NC4XL, North Carolina for extreme lovers. Oh, I'm not, in case you don't know me, I'm Dom, the darling old man. And of course, you'll know me by this. This is my trademark. This is my coffee. If you see 2 up, I'm on the road. 73.